Talk Show.
Recorded live.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Andy and Kim, the iWonder sisters, calling you from Ribera, New Mexico. It's a gorgeous day, and we hope to have a great show. We're so happy you joined us. Today, we're going to talk about the differences between belief, expectation, and knowing. Kim and I had a very interesting discussion about all these words the other day, and we thought it would make a really good topic because there's a lot of discrepancy, really, between what those words mean, how they're defined, and how they're different, and what they provoke emotionally inside a person that is feeling either one of those things. So that's going to be our topic. And Kimmy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here finally.
Hi, yay! Well, here I am in Studio B with my bubbly and limeade, and I'm sitting on the bathtub.
For everyone who doesn't know, Andy and I always like to have a glass of wine. We prefer bubbly for the show. It's very special. So either that, a glass of red wine, or bubbly is usually what we have when we're doing the show. And, it makes it really special for us. So, and also, I have to give credit to a friend of mine, Sydney Chase, who's had a show on Talk Show here forever, for coming up with Studio B, because she would say that for the longest time, and then one day, this was some years ago, she said Studio B was I think it was her father's bathroom in his apartment or something, because it was small, and at the time I think she was staying with him. So so we thought it was a good idea, so thanks, Sydney. So, yeah, Andy has given you the subject for the show today, and I guess the overall topic is manifestation, but as she said, we had another great conversation, very clarifying conversation for me on what we both felt personally, very personally, this talk was for each of us, that allowed us to manifest the things in our lives that we desired, whatever the circumstance may have been at the time. And it started because I was explaining to Andy, or sharing with Andy, I guess, at first, that for me, the power of expectation is really, really huge. Like, if I don't expect to receive something that I say that I believe that I can receive, usually it's not going to manifest itself into my life. And I was telling Andy, sharing with her, that I'm very aware of this, because there's been very few times in my life, like rare occasions, first of all, when I've really, really, really desired something to change in a certain way. And that force within me was just like so passionate and so driving. And I always prepared myself for that thing to come in every way possible. I really, really did everything every day as if though I was going to receive that particular change. And for me, that is a necessary part of the way that I manifest. And belief, to me, is a very inactive thing. It's passive for me. I was explaining to Andy that I believe a lot of things, but there are very few things in that belief pool that I actually expect actively within me, outwardly around me, expect to receive. Because I know that when I really believe that I'm going to receive something, I prepare myself for it. And there is some, there is a foundation for this belief because there are many law of attraction teachers, spiritual teachers who talk about expectation and about how we should prepare for things and act as if it were already so. And for me, that's what preparation and expectation is in my life. It's me knowing so strongly that something is going to happen or come to me or change in the way that I see it changing, that I'm actually preparing myself and my world around me for that change. So, Andy, I want to talk a little bit about, because the how I had worded it on the show was belief, knowing, and expectation. Those three things are like, in order for me, of their level of power and rocket fuel, and when it comes to manifesting desires in my life. And so you and I talked a lot. We talked about what those words mean to us individually. And I wanted to know if you wanted to share your belief system and your thoughts on each one of those words.
Well, it's interesting because since our talk, I've thought a lot about expectation and what that entails. And we did agree that belief is a bit more passive than expecting. But I maintained that, and you just said it. You said when I believe something's really going to happen, and I think that belief and expectation are somewhat interchangeable. We just talked in the car this afternoon about, for me, how if I expect something to happen and it's something that I don't want to happen, generally it doesn't. If I expect it to happen, it seems to work sort of in the reverse for me. That, but like being here in New Mexico, I believed with all my heart that I was going to be here, and here I am. And I did all the work that was necessary for me to make this manifest. I did research online. I bought maps of Santa Fe. I researched places to live. I was in touch with landlords, and I looked for jobs here. And I did a lot of legwork and believed deeply that this was going to happen, and it did.
It did. Exactly. And when we talked about that, I thought that was a perfect example of, to me, when I go beyond belief, for me, when my belief is really powered, when it has a lot of horsepower to it, I began to take action in preparing for that thing to come. And I had said to you, I said, remember, a year ago how, you were taking notes and you had this notepad and you did all this research, all the things you just talked about. You searched for doctors, you searched for things that Chloe would need because you knew that she would be coming with you. You searched for places to live. You got a map. You did all of those things. And what I really feel is that for a lot of people in their quest to manifest their lives in the way they want them to be, that part of it is missing. And I think that it's like when, people say, oh, the secret, they taught you, you just think of something, you think about it, and then it happens. Well, I certainly don't disbelieve that. I don't take anything away from the power of thought. However, I do believe that you need to prepare because when you think about it, it's an expectation to me is not anything unnatural. It's not anything that you have to learn. Because, for instance, if you know someone's coming to your home, if you set a date a month ago and you know that someone's coming to your house for dinner, you don't just sit around and possibly see if it's going to happen that day. What you do is you prepare. When the week gets here, you say, oh, do I need to go to the grocery store? You know, is there anything I need to pick up for dinner because so-and-so is going to be here on Thursday? Okay, and you do things in order to make that evening work out the way that you want it to work out. And you write down, you make lists, you go shopping, you do planning, you do all of those things, even though that day is not there yet, and certainly anything could happen where that day could never come. However, you expect it to, and so you make preparations for it. And I think from what I have seen over the years, and from the things that people have shared with me about their manifestations or, you know, their lack of manifesting the things that they really want, that step of expecting it and preparing for it is not there, you know. And I think that it's important for people to realize that, for me anyway, to believe something is not enough to make it come true in your life. It's not enough for me to bring the experience into my life, because I believe in a lot of experiences. I believe in the possibility of a lot of things that I don't necessarily feel that I'm expecting to experience for myself. And to me, there is a difference, you know. And I don't know, when we came to the end of that conversation, for you, did you feel as though belief itself encompasses, like if it's true belief, here's my question to you. If it's true belief, do you feel that that encompasses the idea of the expectancy being there?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I mean, look at all the work I did before coming here. You know, and it had nothing to do with expectation. I believed I was going to be here.
But it did have something to do with expectation.
Don't laugh at me on air.
I'm thinking about I'm thinking about people listening to this, and you know, and really gaining something from how great friendships can have these sort of, you know, really crazy conversations. And
well,
you know,
I said to you that day that I really thought we were arguing semantics.
Yeah.
And that for me, the words expectation and belief are interchangeable. If I believe something, I expect it to happen. If I expect it to happen, I believe it. And for me, belief was a very active verb in getting me to where I am right now.
Okay, and for me, belief means that I know that there is a possibility of that particular thing happening.
And you don't really believe it.
No, I disagree with that.
Well, I disagree with you.
There's certain things that I can't help but believe, but it doesn't mean that I expect for that experience to come into my life. Not saying that I couldn't down the road if it's something that I wanted. I'm saying that obviously, since I'm having a particular experience, which most of it is great, but there are many experiences that I can look at from afar and say, I would like to have that experience, but do I necessarily expect it? Am I in preparation for that experience to come into my life? No. I would have to be honest and say no, because believing something means that you think it's possible. And
I don't think that's true. I think belief is knowing. I think thinking it's possible is thinking it's possible. I mean, then you're talking about probabilities and things like that. I think belief is knowing. When you believe something, you know it.
Well, for me, knowing is a step up from belief. That's what knowing is to me. When I say I know something for sure. It means that without a shadow of any doubt whatsoever, I know that this experience is possible for me. And I guess maybe in my experience of these three words, especially the word belief, I relate it more to the thing itself as being a separate entity from my life, from myself. You know, in other words, do you believe that, you know, if someone were to ask me, do you believe that a pauper can become king? Of course I believe that, exactly, but I don't believe it because I've experienced it or think that I'm going to be within that experience itself. I believe it because that has happened many, many times, so I believe it is possible for that to happen, but it doesn't mean for me that the word belief doesn't mean for me that it relates to my experience. And to me, if you don't do any of the work to bring that belief into fruition, then it's not going to have anything to do with your experience. I still think that we're arguing semantics. Definitely, most definitely, because you know it really is about what it means to you, and I think for people who are wondering. I mean, you know, Andy knows, I think, that I like to speak for people who have gone through these past few years where all of this information has been tossed at us and given to us and shared with us about attracting and about manifesting the life that we want to manifest, the life that we want to live. And then they're looking around and saying, where is my stuff? Where is my life? Where is all these things that I've put on my vision board and all these things that, you know, I put down on my list and all of that? You know, I put it in writing. They say put it in writing and make it real, and, you know, and it still hasn't happened. And, you know, I believe there's many reasons for that. I mean, we could do a lot of shows about the reasons about why we don't receive the things that we say we want. But I believe that in speaking for those people who are like, where's my stuff? Where's my life? Where is, you know, all these things that I've written down, these things that I think about and focus on, why haven't they appeared in my life? And I think for everybody, they have to find what is sort of missing or where the disconnect is in your wanting and not receiving.
I think action is the missing piece.
Wow. And you know what? I mean, you know, that's a little bit controversial for a lot of people. I agree with you on that. You hear so many people, though, they don't even really want to talk about that because, you know, they say you don't have to do anything. And you know what I mean? And I totally
disagree with that. And I think that that's where the secret falls. It's one of the places, one of the areas in the doctrine of the secret that I think is misleading. I don't think that, yes, I do believe that our thoughts are energy and they carry a lot of power, and that we have to be purposeful and full of intent when we think about certain things, especially when it comes to manifesting. And I don't see anything wrong with vision boards, and I don't see anything wrong with those things. But taking action and preparing space for that thing to come into your life is a very different thing than making a vision board with some glue and magazine pictures.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I think action is one of the big missing pieces in the secret. I don't think that I would be here now if I hadn't taken all the action I took. And that's something I believe with all my heart. I think that I wanted something, and I made space in my life for it to come by taking action, by doing the research, by getting a map, becoming familiar with Santa Fe before I ever got there, by researching doctors and veterinarians and hair salons and where Pier 1 is and, you know, stuff like that. I mean, by the time we got here and went to Santa Fe, I was able to say to you, I know that street. Yeah. I know that street. And now I'm here. I took action, and I think action is a big missing piece.
Yeah, you know, and I think that it's important for people to understand, because here's another word, right? And, you know, it's interesting because we have been talking about words. You know, we talked about love and, you know, and how we use these words and what they mean to us. And I think something that I'm getting from what you're saying about the word action is that it was inspired. It wasn't like you just running around trying to do all these things out of a feeling of, you know, anxiety or desperation, trying to make it all happen and all that type of stuff. Because for a lot of people, you know, action just means doing. And, you know, and I think what people really need to take from what you just said is that everything was really conscious and deliberate. The actions that you took were very conscious, inspired steps. You know what I mean? And I think that just the doing in itself, that inspired sort of movement, energy, is so powerful, because many times, and I'll try to like express this as clearly as I can, but so many times in my life, I have wanted something, and I've done things to get it. And the things that I did were not necessarily the things that led me to that particular desire, but the desire came anyway. And I think that many times, like you said, what I think that the secret missed in sharing about action also is that it's a way to move energy. I mean, so many times, you know, people sit around and they want to make changes. And they say they want to make change. Some sort of change in their life, whether it's their career, where they live, love life, whatever, something financial, whatever the case may be. They say they want to make a change, and then they don't move the energy. And I think that that's so important for people to know that when you took those steps, you know, when you took the action of going on the internet and you know, mapping out Santa Fe or looking for, you know, vets, looking for doctors, looking for all the things that you knew you would need in your life because they were the same things you needed then. When you took that action, it was a really positive, powerful force of movement. And another really great thing you said is that it created the space in your life for that thing to come into it. You know what I mean? Because you were living and acting as though I'm not going to be here, so I better prepare to be there. You know, and my cousin Mo always likes to say, you know, the universe, you know, the universe abhors a void. And so wherever there's a space, it's always looking for something to fill it. And I think another issue is that people don't have the space in their lives because they're so busy tending, you know, in some sort of way to that which is already there that they say they don't want, you know, that it's very hard for them to make space for the new thing to come into it. You know, and so I really want people to pay attention to the fact that we're not talking about mindless action, because so many times out of fear And out of desperation in my life, I've just done things to be doing them to keep my mind from going nuts. You know what I mean? And it's not really, it's not inspired movement. It's not inspired action. It's not the type of action that makes you feel good. And I'm pretty sure that when you were in Florida and first started doing all your preparation, you know, those things did make you feel good, too. They were fun to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely they did, yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's really important that, you know, everybody get that, you know, that the type of action that Andy's talking about should make you feel good. You know, if you set a goal or, you know, you decide you want to make a change or you launch a new desire, you know, whatever it is, and the steps that it takes to get there are like a drudgery to you, then you might want to rethink, I think, what it is that you really want. Because I think that anything, like even if you say, I want to change careers and I decided I want to be a psychologist, well, you know, most likely you're going to have to go back to school for that, you know, if you haven't already been. And if the thought of those steps of preparing for that doesn't make you feel good inside, I think that it's time to really check that desire. You know what I mean? And say, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. I think that desire is a very dicey thing because there's a big difference between what we want and what the universe believes we need, and I think that very often people leap into desire without really thinking what their life and they need the most.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I think it's important to make that distinction because wants are very different than needs. And I think needs are what propel you forward. You can need and want the same thing.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of moving the process forward, connecting with what you really need is a big part of that creating that momentum. I mean, I knew that I needed a change in my environment. I chose an area of the country that is known to have a specific kind of positive, energetic space. And I felt that's where I needed to be for a lot of reasons. And so I was very aligned with my needs as well as my desires.
Yeah.
And the action I took as a result of knowing that and believing that, like you said, created the space in my life for these things to manifest. And I have no doubt that all the work I did helped propel me here.
And I so agree with you. Actually, I think that it's such a wonderful feeling to want what it is that you need. Because to me, that's a perfect definition of what it means to be aligned, to be aligned with spirit. Because if you are still thinking that what your soul's, I guess, what your soul's quest is and what you want as a person, human being here on the planet, if they're two opposite things or you're still afraid to dive in and find out what that is for you, I would venture to say that life would be a little bit not what you would want it to be. Because I think that I forgot who said it, but it was someone that was on Oprah some years ago talking about, the law of attraction And it was one of the first times that I heard them say, or anyone say, that you do need to be aligned with your soul's purpose. And things, this is when in other words, that things start to flow for you. You start to see all those synchronicities, like those things we call coincidences. You start to meet the right people, all the right opportunities come into your life. When they come into your life, you're ready and prepared for them, and all those different things. So when all the puzzle pieces start to come together, that story that a lot of people tell, the experience that many of us have had, where the puzzle pieces just all come together, and it doesn't take much work, and it doesn't take a whole lot of unnecessary action on our parts, but things just fall into place. I think that has to do with alignment, and I think it has to do with where you're needed and what you need at the time. And I know, speaking personally, as a person who years ago, when people would talk about that, I would say, oh, no, I don't want, like I grew up with a lot of Christians, and, their language would be something like what God wants for you, may be different from what you want for yourself. Okay, so that would be their language. And I would say, oh, no, I don't trust God to want anything from me. Oh, no, I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what I want. He might want me. I remember even saying to someone, well, God may want me to go to Africa and, feed starving people, and I might not want to go to Africa, And I remember the person saying to me, but that wouldn't happen. Because if that was your calling, if that was where you needed to be, it would also be your desire. You know what I mean? Yeah. And now, years later, being such a different person who's gone through so many different experiences and changes and growth and setbacks and then more growth and all those things, I totally live in that. You know what I mean? Like now, I'm just like, universe, wherever what is best for me, lead me to it, and I know that it will match my desires. My desires will be aligned with that, And now, of course, I'm seeing such a different person. I'd love to go to Africa and actually do a lot of things and experience a lot of things there, and see where I could help Africa and a lot of places on the planet, including here. But my desires have become more aligned with, to me, that which is, the purpose of the soul. And so I thought that was just beautiful when you said that definitely they're different. We'll have desires, we'll have, our wants, and we'll have our needs, But I think it's such a beautiful feeling, a space to exist in when they agree, and they can. They really can, yeah. I want to ask you, Andy, how you felt about, I guess, like when people talk about destiny or fate, and those are like some crazy words because some people think they're the same. I've heard people say they're not, or like something that's meant to be in your life, and then what you also desire for yourself, and how you feel about manifesting your life within the realm of that. First of all, do you believe in a destined outcome for a life, or what some people call it was her fate, or it was my fate? Do you believe in that? And if so, where does it fall into us being creators every single day, as we are all day, making decisions and manifesting things and changing our lives?
Well, just as we said today in the car, nothing is written in stone, and I don't think that anybody can foretell where you're going to end up at any given time along your path. So in that respect, I don't believe in destiny. I do believe in purpose, however.
Yeah.
And I do think that each of us has a divine purpose. And it could be cleaning the streets, or it could be feeding hungry children.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what it is, as long as we can discover what that is. It took me a long time to get there, so I'm a rather late bloomer, but I do think that that I'm where I'm meant to be. I don't know that this was my destiny. I'm not sure what that means, you know, and I'm not sure what fate means because there are too many variables. Every day we make decisions that change the course of our lives, and it may change, you know, in 1 degree, or it may change in 60 degrees. But every day we make decisions that change something, and it could be something as simple as the way we think. But so there are a lot of variables. There are too many variables that make a preordained destiny a little bit of a myth for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what, maybe one day we can have someone on the show and discuss that further, because I don't know what the difference between, you know, when people say my destiny and my fate, what the difference between those two things are, and it probably means, you know, something a little different for everyone. I have a real issue with, you know, saying things like that. It doesn't feel right to me. It's not anything I've ever naturally said, like I feel like this is my destiny or my fate or anything like that. I don't think I resonate with it at all. So I would probably have to say I probably don't believe in the existence of that particular thing. But and I've also seen too many times how my life has presented to me different paths in which to go, and the choices that I've made, and how my life could have very well been extremely different had I made simple choices of yes, no, this, that, here, there, you know. So I'm like you. I believe in purpose, however, and I believe that everyone has one. And I believe that the things that come into and go out of our lives, if we are conscious and we're in a space where we desire to be on purpose, to live on purpose, I think that once we make the decision that that's the life that we want to lead and that we want to be in the flow of our lives, that we will want the things that we have, and that we'll want the things that we need, and that there won't be conflicts between those two things, you know. And I think that, unfortunately, so much of the language and the hype around attracting, the law of attraction specifically, you know, being spoken about, really leaves out those deeper things that go with manifesting. Like it doesn't address, and you know, and maybe there's reasons for that. I'm not sure whether or not, you know, a lot of teachers felt as though, well, we don't want to scare people away by going deeper into what this all really is and what it means to manifest, and why things fall into place and why they don't. You know, maybe there was a very conscious reason for not addressing that, but the issue that comes from that is that the people who maybe were not so inclined to continue to teach themselves, you know, maybe they weren't naturally inclined to continue to search for the answers in their lives, and, you know, came away from it with the very shallow sort of thinking that, you know, I want to car, want a brand new car, so I'm going to, put a picture up and focus on it, and things like that. When, to me anyway, what the core of it really is, what makes it all come together, what makes it all make sense, what makes it feel easy and flow is that we know what our purpose is, where our places are in life, and what we're supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to be giving to the world. And to me, that makes everything all come together. And when your mindset becomes in alignment with all of that, then, the things that you do want are the things that you need. And then, of course, then they start coming to you faster and faster, So I guess maybe, and you'll have to speak on this, if I remember hearing some creators of The Secret, Rhonda Byrne, I think, is one of them. But I may be wrong. But I do remember some years ago hearing that, well, we're making this film for people that maybe never were exposed to this type of information at all, and so this was like just the beginning for them, and like I said, my only issue with that is that if they were not inclined to go deeper, you know what I mean, then a lot of people were kind of lost and wondering why all of a sudden everything wasn't changing in the way they wanted it to change.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
I think that, The Secret is a topic we could probably spend an hour on. I think that a lot of people took away from The Secret, I can meditate on a Rolls Royce, and it's going to manifest in my life. And a Rolls Royce may not be what they need. They may need a Toyota Prius. Who's to say? And I think a lot of people looked at The Secret as something very materialistic. And it had more to do with what I want versus what I really need. And I think it got a lot of people in trouble because when nothing happened, they thought The Secret was all, bull.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a big disconnect for a lot of. Oh gosh. I think that because especially in this country, we're a very materialistic culture, and most people think, well, what do I desire? It has to be a thing.
Yeah.
Including money as a thing. And that's really not, to me, what The Secret is about. And I think that the people that put forth The Secret on television and on CDs and in books missed a big part of, like you said, it missed the going deeper into it, because I can't say why they did. Telling people that all they have to do is think about manifesting something and it will come true is very appealing to most people in the United States.
Yeah.
And, that sells a lot of books and a lot of CDs and makes people watch TV. And, I think that the whole issue of preparation and action is what's missing. We're a very lazy society, and we want we want to have things without having to do anything to get them.
Yeah.
And The Secret superficially appealed to that mindset. And I think that's where it falls short. Because it has to do with more than just wanting a new house. It's more about wanting to discover who you are and what you're meant to be doing and how you're meant to be living. And a lot of people don't want to know the answers to those questions because they may not be what they think they want.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I know from the very first time that I saw The Secret, it's been many years, and I've been many people since then, and certainly I'm a different person than I was when I first saw it. But when I first saw it, it was not an introduction to me. It was, it was. To me, I thought a way to learn more about some things that I had been reading about and hearing about and exploring. And very quickly afterwards, I realized within my own life that there was much more to it than what was being shared within that particular movie. And as I said, and it really, really took a lot of, self-exploration. And, oh, gosh, I can't even, talk about all the ways that I had to learn myself and the things in which I had to experience in order to know that, But being in a place now where, my greatest desire is to be in alignment. My greatest desire right now, of any desire, is to be in the flow of life, because I know too much what it's like not to be. I know what it's like to swim upstream, as Abraham Hicks puts it. And so I've experienced that. I learned a lot from that. And certainly I don't knock any experience that I've had, but my greatest desire, the thing that I really want to experience, I guess I want to manifest continually in my life, is that I be, flowing downstream, going with the flow of life, and being where, I'm most able to be used for whatever those very specific things that each one of us have that's very individual. I can honestly say that, that's my greatest desire, and I know everything else is easy. Once you swam upstream and hit some rocks and things like that, you realize that, going with the flow is the best thing that really can happen to you, and that's how I feel about the situation at this point in time. Yeah. So, Andy, I wanted you to share with everyone the blog, and then also talk a bit about what you do with with your wonderful healing services and all of that, because I don't think we talk enough about that. If you could share that, and then how people can contact you.
Okay. I'm a certified Reiki practitioner, and I can be contacted by email at ajnellie, that's NELLIE 11 @gmail.com, or you can call me directly, and my phone number is 561-317-1886. I will come to you if that's what's needed, and I don't know. What else do you want me to say?
Oh, whatever you want, Andy. The blog address.
My blog?
That blog and our blog together is sisterhoodcooperative.wordpress.com. Andy has a wonderful blog and also a website as well for her work. Her blog is wonderful because she shares a lot of very personal experiences on that. So, yeah, why don't you give that out, because I always find it very helpful.
Okay, my personal blog is ajdowntherabbithole.wordpress.com. And, of course, we have the sisterhoodcooperative.wordpress.com, which is Kim's and my iWonder Sisters blog that we add to periodically.
Wonderful. Oh, and I want to, I'm going to give your email address out one more time because it cut out a little at the end, so I'm not sure. Just want to make sure everybody heard it. So for whether you're going to be doing it long distance over the phone or whether you're in the area here, we're in the Santa Fe Taos, New Mexico area, Andy can come to you, but the email address is ajnellie, NELLIE 11 @gmail.com. So I just wanted to make sure they got that because it cut out a little bit, so I'm not going to be sure what they're going to hear. But thank you, Andy. I have to say, from somebody that has experienced her work, it's beautiful, and many of you may have had Reiki sessions before. And as with everybody who, to me, does healing work, Andy has a very special way of doing it that's very uniquely hers, as well. So you may have a sense of what a Reiki session is like already, but the experience that you have with her is very unique, and she does definitely add her own love to it and her own way of doing it. So I encourage everyone to experience that. So we have 1 minute. I just want to thank everybody for joining us every week. This is actually, it's going to say episode 9 because episode 8 was like 1 minute because we had problems with TalkShoe, a little bit of problems getting on and everything, which is the first time. So actually, this is the 8th show, but it says episode 9. But we're glad to be here every single week. And please join us on Twitter. On Twitter, we are at iWonder Sisters on Twitter. So, and both Andy and I are both on Facebook, trying to, spread good information and also a lot of laughs as well. And we love animals, so there's always some posts about animals. And so Andy is on as Andy Levine, and I'm L. Kimberly Smith, so we're both on Facebook as well. So we just want to thank everybody for being here with us and, joining in on our conversations, because the things that we share are things that we talk about personally, and we feel that they have some value. They certainly do to us, and we hope they do to you. So if you find anything valuable in it, please spread the link around and, tell your friends about it. Annie, is there anything else you want to say before we say goodnight?
No, I'd just like to say thank you so much for joining us once again. And we love all of you. And we'll see you again next week.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, and good night, everyone.
Good night.